this is Iowa Prairie Girl. Today I'm going to take a look at this beautiful tall plant in front of me. This plant has a lot of nicknames. A lot of people know it as cowboy toilet paper. I don't know if I need to explain that one to you. It has velvetly soft leaves. So another name is velvet plant, flannel plant, blanket plant, beggar's blanket. Here's a good one. Donkey plant and Quaker's Rouge. Also known as Tinder Plant, which I'll discuss later, and candlewick plant. And we'll go over all these different nicknames and why they're called that. But what is it normally called in the flower books or the flower guides? It's called common mullein, or woolly mullein, or great mullein. So you can see this plant has a lot of names. So if you stay with me, we're going to take a look at this wonderful plant named common mullein. Let's start by talking about the leaf. These leaves are huge. They can get to be about 15 inches long and 5 inches wide. They are a light green color and they are covered with very soft white hairs on them, which gives the leaf itself that soft feel to it. Sometimes they have so many hairs on them that they kind of get almost a silvery look to them. They're very soft, as I said, and they have a lot of uses. Now let me start by saying that this plant is a non-native, but it has been in North America since the beginning of the 18th century. So it has been around a long time. It's actually considered naturalized because it's in every state here in the United States. Because it's been here so long, we actually have stories of the pioneers or the Native Americans using this plant. This plant was used by Indians to put in their moccasins, or actually pioneers as well, to put in their moccasins or in their stockings to keep their feet warm, or even to put it in like their long johns to keep them warm. The leaf, as I mentioned, is called cowboy toilet paper as well. You can use it for those purposes if you're out in if you're out in the woods. Now, my go-to weed for toilet purposes is the buttonweed, but if you can't find the buttonweed, this would be my second choice. However, you want to be careful though, because of those hairs. It might irritate some of your skin, so you might want to try it on different parts of your body before you put it in those more sensitive areas. The stalk. This plant is a biannual. It does not have a stalk the first year, so you'll see it on the ground, just a rosette of basal leaves, of real soft basal leaves. And then the second year, it shoots up this big stalk, and it's a very sturdy, erect stalk. And it is a light green, and it is also covered with fine hairs. Let's take a look at the flower now. So common mullein can get to be 2 to 7 feet tall. The one that I started out with is over my head, so I moved down to one lower in the ditch so we can take a look at the flowers. So as I talked about, the stalk comes up, and on the top you have a spike that has these flowers on it. Now, unlike other flowers that have a flower from a spike, most spikes, the flowers start at the bottom and they work their way up, and the last bloom you see is at the top. Now on common mullein, there is no rhyme and reason. They bloom different places on the flower. And one of the neat things or unique things about common mullein is that once it flowers, that one flower buds, it is only buds for one day. The flower itself, if you can see that, it has 5 yellow petals. It also has 5 yellow-orange stamens in the middle there. And then it has the calyx. You have a lot of calyx here that are a light green, and they're just like everything else on the plant, they are hairy. So that's the neat thing, the neat flowers that they have on that common mullein has. The other thing is that these are often pollinated by bees, and so they're only open for one day. They have one day to be pollinated. However, if the bee doesn't make it to the flower, it does have the ability to self-pollinate as well. Now, I mentioned that common mullein is non-native to the United States, but I failed to tell you that it is considered a weed. However, it's not a real pesty weed, and most people are not offended by it. And actually, some people enjoy having it growing in their yard or in their flower garden or in their vegetable garden just because it's got such a unique look to it. Common mullein grows in some pretty unique places. It likes disturbed areas. So you're going to find it, like where I am right now, I'm in the ditch along the gravel road, and as I go up and down this ditch, I could probably find about 50 common mullein. Railroad tracks, vacant lots, sand, gravelly places, so it likes those disturbed places. Another name for common mullein is torchflower or Aaron's rod. So if we talk about the torchflower, ancient Greeks or witches, that's another name I forgot to mention, is witch torch, hag torch, hag flower. The Romans would dunk this in grease or fat, and then they would light it on fire and use it as a torch. In regards to witch's torch, no one's really quite sure if it was used to ward off evil spirits or if it was used by the witches to light it during their practices. So we have torchflower. Another name that I mentioned is Aaron's rod. And if you remember, Aaron is the brother of Moses, and he had a rod that budded. And so here you have your big rods, and they are flowering, so it's Aaron's rod. So that's another name for this plant. Now, one of the other really cool things about this plant is the seeds. So each of these flowers develop a capsule, and in those capsules, each of these capsules, there's at least, they say that a plant averages about 100 capsules, but I mean, look at this baby I got here. This has got to have way more than 100 capsules. And in each of those capsules are these tiny, tiny, tiny little seeds. There could be up to 700 seeds per capsule. So there could be up to 180,000 seeds per plant. And another very unique thing about these plants is that those seeds can last for decades before they germinate. I'm not sure where they go, if they go in the ground, but they are good for a long, long time, for decades, before they might actually germinate. I also mentioned that the name of this plant is called Tinder Plant. This plant is very, very easy to light on fire. It's very dry. And so if a person needed to start a fire, if they were out in the woods, this plant would be a great plant once it's dried up to take and start splintering the stem. And it's almost got a corky-like center. And it's very easy, very good for firewood or for starting a fire. I actually watched a video where a gentleman peeled off all the bark and used the stem to light a fire without matches, and used this as one of the fire starters. Common mullein blooms in June through September. I'm coming to you from North Iowa, Saragota County, in the first weekend of July. Like I mentioned, it blooms in, or you can find it in all 50 states, so I'm sure the blooming period time varies upon what state you're in. Again, I could give you a lot more names or uses for this plant. I mentioned candlewick plant. The leaves have been used to make candles. The leaves have also been used in emergency purposes as diapers for Native Americans or for the pioneers. Medical uses, the plant can be used to make tinctures for earaches, and also used a lot of times for respiratory infections. Also, the leaves can be made into a poultice and or a bandage and used for wounds. So, this is Iowa Prairie Girl. I hope you enjoyed my video on the common mullein, great mullein, woolly mullein, cowboy toilet paper, Aaron's rod, torchflower, Quaker's Rouge. I forgot to tell you why it's called Quaker's Rouge. Quaker's Rouge because Quaker girls are not allowed to use cosmetics or makeup, and so if you take a common mullein leaf with its fine hairs and rub it on your face, it'll make your face kind of, did that work for me? Make your face kind of red and rosy. Okay, so again, I'm the Iowa Prairie Girl. Thank you for watching my video. I encourage you to get out and explore areas around you. Wherever you go out and outside, I'm sure that if you take some time to look, you're going to find something wonderful. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel.